Hey there guys, what's going on? Tyler here with your Movie Fix, and today I'm doing something just a little bit differently. As you can see, I'm not sitting where I normally am. I'm doing this video just a little bit differently. I just wanted to be a little more relaxed and maybe do a little bit of a rant today, and this is something that I've been wanting to talk about for a little while, so I feel like now is a good time to just vent and get it all out. I want to talk about some of the issues that I think were surrounding Batman v Superman from a production level to a creative level, and a big issue that some of the audiences had, or at least some of the fanboys had with Batman. And the big thing that I want to start with is the argument of there being a killer Batman, that they turned Batman into a murderer, they ruined him, what have you done? First off, I want to say, I really like the movie, and this isn't a video to just sit here and defend the film. I like it. If you don't like it, that's how you are. Stand by what you like, stand by what you dislike. The thing is, I'm not going to be able to tell you anything that's going to suddenly make you love the film, and there's nothing that anybody can say to me that's suddenly going to make me dislike the film. It's just not going to happen. So these are just some of the problems I want to talk about just from my point of view. And the big thing is the killer Batman, and the fact that people think that they ruined him, that this doesn't make any sense. What has he done to Batman? What has he done to Superman? And I just want to start with Batman. I love Ben Affleck as Batman. I love this interpretation of him. And the whole thing with him killing, it all made sense within the context of this film, and I don't know why that's so hard for people to really understand. Now this is something that I'm going to read from the prequel comic, an official prequel comic for Batman v Superman. And this is something that explains why this version of Batman is so brutal. And they even went on to talk about Batman's always been tough, but he's never been like this. And this is a conversation that went on between these two thugs, and they're just kind of talking about Batman. Said, the world's a rough place, but you work hard enough, harder than everybody else, prepare yourself, and you think you can handle anything. Then some aliens drop out of the sky and level a city with their bare hands. What does that do to a man like him? What does that do to a man like Batman, seeing this god fall out of the sky and everything happening and he can do nothing about it? Well, Tyler, why wasn't something like this put in the film? There was a conversation like this put in the film in the first 20 minutes. The first 20 minutes, they explain why this Batman is so brutal. We just watched him, you know, this creature in the night sitting up on the wall. He's over there with the cops, and he just branded a guy. They're yelling. And we hear a news report saying that it's mostly for, like, sex trafficking, child rapists, all those things. And the branding thing, I don't really think anyone can really have a problem with. I'm not so sure why that's a big deal, because no, he's not killing them. And it's not like if somebody's going into prison, he's just letting them know that these are the fucking awful guys. Something needs to be done about these guys. I'm not doing it. It's in your hands. They're in prison, whatever. I had no issues with the branding thing. But this is the conversation that took place between Alfred and Bruce in the first 20 minutes of the film that explains everything we need to know about this Batman. And he says, everything's changed. Men fall from the sky. The gods hurl thunderbolts. Innocents die. That's how it starts, sir. The fever, the rage, the feeling of powerlessness, it turns good men cruel. I don't know what more people wanted. We just got that. Things make sense within this film, and I'm not sure why that's so hard to grasp. People wanted everything to be so spoon-fed to them, and they think that there's no explanation as to why this Batman kills. Why is the Joker still alive? Why didn't he kill Joker after Jason Todd was killed? We just got the explanation right there. And there seemed to be a theory going around that this Batman started killing after Jason Todd died. No, we've already gotten it from two sources of the canon, one in the damn movie, that this Batman kills because of the arrival of Superman, because of feeling powerless. So I don't think that's an end of the world thing to really get upset about. And there are two main instances in the film where Batman is doing this. The big one being the first Batmobile chase that we get that was totally fucking badass, that I enjoyed very much. But we see him pull out those guns and he starts firing out at these people. It makes sense why he was doing this. He knows about the kryptonite, and what I love was that Alfred is the voice of reason when he explains to him that there's kryptonite on the white Portuguese. He says, oh, you're going to get it. So Luthor can't have it, you're going to destroy it, right? He's like, nope, I'm going to use it to destroy Superman. And he was on a mission. This was an angry man. He's tired of what he keeps seeing, all this trouble surrounding Superman, so he's doing everything he can to get that kryptonite. We know that he's brutal, and if there's guys coming at him with fucking 50 caliber like machine guns, Batman's not going to play around. He's going to take them out, and that's what he did. And we saw that a little later on with the Martha rescue and the Bat Jet, and he gunned down some people. Again, these are criminals coming at him with heavy artillery. What's Batman going to do? He's going to fire back at him. He just made a promise to the man he was wrongfully about to kill that I will save your mother, and he's doing everything he can to save his mother. And the big thing, the big overarching thing that so many people missed about this movie, as much as it was a movie about Superman dealing with his decisions from the first movie, dealing with the consequences of what he chose to become. This was also a redemption story for Batman. This was a movie with Batman in a very dark place in his life. Like we said, he's been killing, he's been through so much, he's seen some shit, and now it's a paradigm change with Superman coming into the picture, and now that he realizes he's not just this terrible, mindless alien that could just destroy the planet, he knows that he's human. He knows that Superman, he's got a family, he's got a mother, he has this girlfriend or wife, whatever Batman thinks Lois is, and it's a redemption story. The whole thing is a redemption story for Batman. Again, this is something that I guess people needed spoon-fed to them, is that it's at the end of the movie, men are still good, we can rebuild, we kill, we steal, we lie, we can do better, we have to. That whole thing was just Batman's character progression in the movie. And I don't really know what more people wanted out of it, or why it just seemed to go over their head. Perhaps things will be more fleshed out in the Ultimate Cut, but I'm going to be talking about that right now. Now, this is the part where I kind of want to talk about things that went on with the production level, things going on with the studio, Zack Snyder, David Goyer, all that nonsense. Things what I think led to the preconceived notions of people going into this film, of going into a Batman versus Superman film, and the expectations people had, or things that the critics were thinking, and that could have had an effect on the score of the movie. Now, if critics don't like the movie, they don't like the movie, that's whatever. But don't take Rotten Tomatoes as the biggest gospel on the fucking planet if critics didn't like it. What's important is that the audiences liked it, and audiences did rate it a 7.4 on Rotten Tomatoes, which everybody just looks at the other numbers. The rating is a 7.4. I don't know what world we live in where a movie can be rated 7.4 by a ginormous litmus test of over 300,000 people, make over $860 million, and it can be considered a failure. I don't really know where this weird media stuff is coming from, but regardless, if you like the movie, like it, I like the movie. But some of the preconceived notions of going into this film thinking it's a Batman versus Superman film, I think they fucked everything on the marketing of this film. I really do. I love that first teaser trailer, and I love that first Comic-Con trailer that we got. I pretty much liked all the trailers. I did, because I started to get an idea of what the film is. But this movie was going to be Batman versus Superman no matter what. Warner Brothers has been trying to make a Batman versus Superman movie since like 2003. They've been trying to get this off the ground. It's been a studio mandate that if we're going to put Batman and Superman in a movie together, it is going to be called Batman versus Superman, because they are so hell-bent on thinking that that title is going to put everyone in the theater and it's going to be great and it's going to make money. It made money, and a big part of that was because of the name, but because of them forcing things into the story, and because of them forcing that title. The title of Batman v Superman changed the entire the entire conscience of people going into the movie thinking we're going to see a movie about Batman and Superman fighting. And they even marketed it as that they centered all of the marketing around the big fight. That was awesome, this whole 6-minute fight, but you can't market a movie around that. You can't make a movie around a 6-minute fight. I'm sorry, you can't do it. And I get it, there were other things going on that led up to it, but ultimately this was still a Man of Steel movie. I don't care. They should have named this Man of Steel: Dawn of Justice. This was a movie about how the world views Superman, how Batman views Superman, how Lex Luthor sees him, about his consequences, the Congress going after him, the UN, the world. It had all of his supporting characters: Martha, Lois, Perry White, the Daily Planet, Lex Luthor. These are all Superman supporting characters, and I get it. You put Batman and Superman in the title with a versus, tickets galore everywhere. And I don't think that was the best idea. I think they sacrificed a lot by doing that. You could have marketed this differently around the struggle of Superman, and you could have teased something. You could have teased a fight going on between them, and that would have gotten people just as excited. Did you see that new Man of Steel trailer? It looked like Batman was going to fucking kick his ass. But don't market the movie around that. Market a movie with Superman and with Batman. And that way, when we get things in there, it just doesn't seem to just go all over the fucking place. You could have just marketed this as a Superman movie with Batman in it and not give away that there's going to be this big fight between them, because this wasn't a versus movie. It wasn't. It was not a Alien versus Predator, King Kong versus Godzilla shit. That's not what it was. You'd look at Civil War, and this is something that I think people are saying why Civil War did a versus superhero movie better. I want to say that I still enjoy the story and the characters of Batman v Superman, and I really loved Civil War, but they're two totally different things. Civil War had two opposing factions with actual agendas and concerns, and that led to a fight going on between them. And it was a difference with Batman and Superman. It was a misunderstanding. The entire fight around that movie revolved around a misunderstanding, Lex Luthor pulling strings, everything going on. And Civil War had people that actually disagreed with each other. I'm not saying that makes one better than the other, but it wasn't a Batman v Superman movie, and they shouldn't have titled it that, because that changed everyone's expectation going into the film. Now they think that, what's Wonder Woman doing in a Batman v Superman movie? What's Doomsday doing in a Batman v Superman movie? If you just would have called it Man of Steel: Dawn of Justice and had Batman in the trailers but not give it away that there's going to be a fight, and just that this movie, you would have been watching this for the first time and been like, this is leading up to a fight. Like, oh my god, everyone would have lost their minds. And I think that's something that screwed them, because even when they announced the movie back in 2013, like a month after Man of Steel came out, they did the logo, they did the whole speech from The Dark Knight Returns, and they said, we're making another Superman movie. And like a week after that, David Goyer went on to say, he was in an interview and they're asking him, oh, what's the title of the movie going to be? He's like, we're thinking Superman versus Batman, Batman versus Superman, something. But versus is going to be in the title. They didn't have a fucking choice. They didn't have a choice but to make this. And I fucking applaud Zack Snyder for doing what he did with this story and being able to salvage it because of what the studio wanted this film to be. He still found a way to... This was a Superman-centric story. It was still Superman's movie. It was about his sacrifice that he made and everything that was going on. But he still managed to tie in this big fight with Batman and Superman. And it made sense with everything went on. Aliens show up, Batman's pissed, blah, blah, blah. And even Zack Snyder didn't seem very keen on the title of Batman versus Superman. Because when they announced that it was Batman v Superman, he said, well, you know, it's versus, it's a V instead of versus for the most subtle of reasons, blah, blah, blah. I think that was Zack's compromise with Warner Brothers to make it a versus movie. And he was the one that wanted to add in Dawn of Justice. Warner Brothers, if they would have had it their way, it would have just been flat out Batman versus Superman. Go watch it because we want you to. But Zack's like, this was a Superman movie that leads into Justice League, and I still 100% look at it that way. So I just wish that's the route they would have gone. And whatever problems I had with the movie structurally, I'll agree that there are things missing. And that's another thing that Warner Brothers screwed Zack Snyder on. And that's pretty upsetting because Zack loves to tell long stories. He likes to tell these bigger, epic stories that you can't shave down 30 minutes from a movie and expect it to be the same quality. He told a 4-hour story that he felt comfortable in telling in 3. Okay, I cut it down to 3. And he said very, very shortly before the movie's release, it was still the 3-hour cut until right before the release, basically. That was the version that tested well with audiences. That's the one that tested well with the CEOs of Warner Brothers and everything, was the 3-hour cut of the movie. And when they asked him to sacrifice creativity for the sake of marketing, of putting more movies, putting more theaters open with the movie to make more money, you sacrifice the better version of the movie. I wholeheartedly believe that this ultimate cut, much like the director's cut of Watchmen, is going to be like leaps and bounds better than the theatrical cut. And it's a shame that Warner Brothers had him shave 30 minutes out of a story. That's 30 whole minutes of a story. That's a lot. And even just the few things that he's mentioned that were cut out of the film, like Superman going over to Gotham City and investigating and talking with the GCPD, talking with criminals, people in jail that Batman put there. And we got to see Clark Kent investigating. And that adds more to why he felt the need to go after Batman, because he saw it firsthand. And we didn't see that in the movie. The entire beginning of North African sequence going on, that was supposed to be a longer sequence where we actually know what's going on, instead of seeing him tackle one guy through a wall and then some random lady in court talking about it that made no sense. Because, and that's just 2 scenes that automatically make it sound better. And I had my issues with Lex sounding all crazy at the end of the movie with ding, 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 ding. That still bugs me. But it made more sense with that communion scene they released where he's talking with someone from Apocalypse, Darkseid, Steppenwolf, whoever it's going to be. Like, Lex Luthor lost his shit. He lost his mind after seeing that these aliens are coming because of him. He went crazy, and that explained why he was a little more, off keel at the end of the movie, and they cut that out. Why did they cut all these things out? They cut out him trying to search for his mom after Lex Luthor said that we took her, and he wasn't able to find her because of how emotional he was, and hearing everything in the city, he couldn't pinpoint her. I'm like, why? Why would they ask them to cut out some of the best scenes in the movie, it sounds like? I don't really know. So yeah, I am pretty disappointed in the fact that they had to make these business decisions to cut out actual chunk of the story for the sake of making more money when it probably would have made more money if they were able to put out the better version of the film. If they were able to put out a good movie, that would have appeased the critics, it would have appeased the fans. Regardless of it being 3 hours, it would have made money. Look at Lord of the Rings, look at the Hobbit movies. Regardless of how you may think you feel about the Hobbit movies, I enjoy them and I love Lord of the Rings, I love the Hobbit. But those are all 3-hour movies. People sat through them and they made fuckloads of money. So why, and those were made by Warner Brothers at that. But you can't expect to tell a 3-hour story in 2.5 hours. There are a lot of movies that can do that because they were aimed to be at 2.5 hours. But Zack aims for 3 hours in pretty much most of his movies, and they said no. So I'm just pretty disappointed in the business decisions that went on behind the scenes for this film that led to the lesser version of it being put in theaters. And I know that disappointed Zack Snyder. You can tell in the interviews where he's talked about the ultimate cut that that's the version they wanted to put out. And that's pretty disappointing to me. But anyways, guys, this has just been a big rant. I hope that maybe shed some light on a couple of different things. It's not like I have any issues with Warner Brothers or anything like that. It's one of my favorite movie studios. I still love Batman v Superman, but I just want to talk about things going on at the production level, all the nonsense going on with the Batman killing, and just do a big rant. Anyway, guys, comment your thoughts below. I'm really curious how you feel about what did you think of this Batman killing in the movie, or like even when I heard the name of the movie was going to be Batman v Superman or Batman versus Superman, I was disappointed. I didn't like that idea. I didn't like the title of it. But the more I got to see of what the story was going to be giving us, I realized very quickly it wasn't a Batman versus Superman movie, and it was a Dawn of Justice movie. And that is more than fine with me, and I like that. But comment your thoughts on all this nonsense. Anyways, guys, if you like this video, be sure to give it a like, subscribe to my channel for all that good stuff. More rants, movie news, movie reviews, whatever it is. This has been fun, guys. I'll see you on the next video.